Hey guys, what do you get when you buy the cheapest four-wheeler on Facebook Marketplace? Check this out. A friend of mine just picked this machine up the other day. 2004 Arctic Cat V650 twin four-wheeler. Basically, what you see here is what he got. Came with two, I don't know if they're new, two brand new tires. The tires that are on it don't look like they're too bad, but I think they got a hole in the sidewall. Somebody's done a little bit of customization. It's got a lift kit installed. Came with the two-up seat back that you can see on it. And it even runs. It does have a few minor issues though, and that's what we're going to look at today. A couple of problems that we know we have with this bike is that something's going on with the clutching simply because the machine moves as soon as it's running. In order to stop it, you've got to hold it with the brakes. Another problem that we've got is the choke cable has been moved down from the handlebar to here. This kind of looks like it's still the original choke cable, but definitely it has been modified from original. The choke is supposed to be up here on the side of the controls on this side, and it's a fairly common thing for these to break off. The owner has purchased a new, so that we can see if we can get that back up and running the way it's supposed to. This machine was at one time modified for a snorkel setup. There was the radiator hoses came up through the fender here. There's holes on either side, and also the feed for the clutch cooling fan is been kind of hacked off. There used to be plumbing that would have come up to a snorkel up by the handlebars. The owner is not really interested in using this as a mudding machine so much. He just wants a good, solid, reliable four-wheeler to have up at his cabin. We're going to take some parts off here and see if we can get this back to the way it was supposed to be with the choke, and try and figure out what's going on with the clutch, see if we need to get any parts on order, and look at a few other minor issues while we've got it apart. And that's probably what we're going to get done today. First step, we'll get the seat off. This assembly off here, there's two screws. Probably going to have to try and get the sides off as well. There's some push pins here, a tie wrap there, some more screws, and that'll get us access to the clutch cover, the choke assembly, and the carburetor. The first item we're going to remove is the glove box here. We've got impact gun, and otherwise we're missing some hardware. Need a side cutter for that one, and push pin there. Otherwise all that should be loose. Airbox is next to come off. We've got 4 clips that holds the top in place. Filter housing, and then we've got some, those are I think 6 mil head bolts that we've got that hold the bottom of the airbox down to the top of the 2 carburetors. The carburetors on this one are not directly run by the throttle cable. The throttle cable on this machine has a butterfly in behind that is actuated by the throttle lever. However, the opening in the throat of the carburetor is governed by diaphragms that are on the top of in this case on the sides of the carburetor, and basically the vacuum created by opening the throttle blades sucks the slides back on this one. Over here we can see the choke cable that would have originally run up to the controls up on the left hand handlebar are connected up right there. And Scotch locks, ooh, not good. And you grab a flat blade screwdriver, we'll get that little B-nut off of there, feed that whole assembly back, and see if we can convince it to come back up to the where the choke lever is supposed to be. This is, I don't know, I guess they call it a B-nut, used as a cable stop. Not ideal in this situation. And somebody's drilled out a nice little metal knob of some sort to use on this. This is the factory choke cable, but definitely we're going to have to figure out what we need in the way of parts to get it reattached where it's supposed to be. That's something that's been added on to help hold everything together. Here's our factory cable with the cable retainer. We'll have to figure out how to get it back up into the hand grip assembly here, but first step, we need to split the control apart to extract the remnants of the old broken choke assembly and install the new parts. We've run into a little bit of a snag here. This has an aftermarket heated grip on it that's a little bit longer than the original, and it's kind of holding everything snugly here that we can't pop the choke ring off of the end to be able to get this control to split apart. What I'm going to do is grab a couple of grab a Torx, and we'll loosen this brake assembly off and just slide it. Probably only about 1/4 of an inch is all we're going to need, and we'll be able to get this control apart. And that's what's left of the factory original choke. And here we have our new OEM style choke, and I guess it's a fairly common problem with this type of or with this model of four-wheeler to have this arm snap off. And the owner, since he has a similar one of these machines already, happened to have a spare choke arm ready to go. Hard to see because the light is not the best, but we'll feed that choke cable down from where it's been living. Somebody's replaced the tie wrap here on the handlebar when it was excluding the choke cable, so I think we will have to re-tie wrap everything in place once we get the reassembly completed. By removing the brake, that gives us better access to the entire control assembly here, and gives us a way to feed this cable back up into its original position. Because there's not a whole lot of extra slack that we can use here, we've kind of got to assemble this together on the control, then feed it through that boot. The slot that the little ferrule fits into is a little on the snug side, and that's kind of what's getting us. But that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. That's not likely going to fall out of there. Well, we've got our cable kind of sort of started. We get our rubber boot started around the control. We get the top half in place. Choke boot kind of holds everything together. We're having a little bit of trouble getting everything to kind of just do the final clip into place here, and one of the issues that we're having is the top portion of the control is a little bit outboard, and so we're not able to get this boot to clip on both the top and the bottom. This particular machine has the factory optional installed winch on it right now, and therefore we're using different bolts to assemble the top and the bottom of the this control. So I'm just going to kind of feed things in here temporarily. Once we get everything aligned and get this boot attached to the control properly, we'll take this apart, we'll put the retainer up in place, and we'll put the winch control and everything. This is just kind of trying to line things up. Okay, that's got the two halves of the control kind of lined up. Now we'll see if we can get this boot to cooperate. This is an older machine, and I'm guessing that the rubber is a little on the stiff side here compared to what it was from the factory. But I think we'll be able to get this. Here's our winch control, feed it up into place. Now I've sandwiched that little retainer ring on the back side here between the winch control and the choke arm, because if we tried putting it down here, it would actually be pulling the cable back. It's a little on the stiff side, but that is a functional choke. I think we need a little bit of grease on the choke arm mechanism. The handlebar had a little bit of rust on it, and I think the new choke assembly riding on that, a little bit of rust is going to cause us some issues. We've got some fluid film here. We'll try putting a little bit of that down. Oh, that feels much better. I think that's fully functional now. Install the brake lever, because being able to stop is kind of important. We've got the control halves tightened down as much as I can. I don't want to go any further, end up stripping out screws, that kind of thing wouldn't be good. And we're still a little on the loose side. Now this was stuck down solidly when we first started on this, but there was some rust under there, and by kind of taking everything apart, I think it was just kind of glued itself to the handlebar. The owner of this bike says that he's got essentially the same machine, and his control is also a little on the loose side as well. And just as long as you're, pushing against the control itself, that choke control should work just fine. We've got our brake. Make sure it's good and snug. First problem is dealt with. Next item that we're wanting to look at on this is the fast idle. And I don't know how well this is going to turn out with the lighting that we have. But here we have a knob that is basically a flexible shaft, goes into the throttle mechanism, and it just is supposed to, essentially has a bolt that comes into the end of the throttle arm here for the two carburetors, and it's supposed to push up a little bit on the carb. And unfortunately, it doesn't. It feels like there's a stop in the carburetor that is that's not quite there. It is as tight as we can get it, and it's not really opening the throttle. So we're going to have to look online and see if we're missing a piece out of that. Definitely, it appears there should be a cap on the end of that assembly, and that cap is missing. So we'll have to get that ordered and install it at a later date. Hey guys, I think we're going to end this one here. We did make some progress on the clutch issue that we're having with this machine, but yeah, got kind of involved. I think I'm going to make it into its own video. Thanks a lot for stopping by. Greatly appreciate you taking the time to watch the video. Can you do me a favor? Hit that like, subscribe, comment, and ring the bell icon. Greatly appreciated. We'll catch you guys in the next mess.